Money 105.5 with Glenn Spillman and Charlton Curry. This is Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton Curry, and I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. And I know everybody's looking forward to eating lots of turkey, Glenn.
Oh, yummy, baby.
You're a big chicken and meat eater, so I know you're going to have a great time.
What'd you call me, man?
You know you love meat and chicken, just like everybody does. Nothing wrong with ham either. But as you know, every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m., we talk NFL football, we talk college football, NBA basketball, and we'll be doing also some MMA talk. But, Glenn, I know you have some information about our audience.
Yeah, you know what? I love this. We can now say, as Epic Sports Radio, we are now worldwide. Checked our analytics all last week, all this week, and today. Right now, we have people Saudi Arabia, France, Japan, China, Canada, and the UK listening to the show as we speak. So we are now officially worldwide. I want to thank all of you for listening. We love you. Follow us on Epic News Sports on all social media.
That is absolutely wonderful. We also have a little bit of introduction about myself. Been around the business since 1988, covering pro sports, college sports, and high school sports.
You know what? I'm right there with you, brother. You know what? But between the both of us, I think we've covered several Super Bowls. I've been in the one in Houston, one in San Diego, worked with the Rockets, also worked with the Rangers. A lot of good times. Love it. Stacy, what do you got for us?
Yep, that's who you got. You got me, Stacy Marie, former intern for KTXL Fox 40 News here in Sacramento, and also former sports announcer for the Cosumnes River Hawks there in Sacramento as well.
Amen,
Go
sister.
Hawks, go Hawks. So anyway, for all of you advertisers out there, you're looking at why you would put money into a sports program. Perhaps because they have an audience that reaches around the globe, because of Epic Sports Radio on the Money 105 FM, owned by Salem Media. It's a great investment of your advertising dollar. And as we get into talking about pro football, and again on this great happy Thanksgiving Eve, we're going to bring in Big C. But before we do that, I want to say this segment is also brought to you by Trilok Investments Corporation, providing commercial and residential project allocation and private funding of up to $500 million since 2008. For more information, contact Charlton Curry, 916-896-5757. And speaking of that, Glenn, we talked earlier how billionaires, they own sports teams.
Yes, they do.
So if you're an advertiser, billionaires kind of give you a clue. People like Warren Buffett,
A little bit.
or Bill Gates, $79
Jerry
billion.
Jones, yeah.
Larry Ellison, $49 billion.
Yep.
Phil Knight owns Nike, $27 billion. What do they have in common?
You know, they're all businessmen. They're all billionaires, and they know all big business is in sports.
It's in sports.
Period.
In fact, Eddie DeBartolo Jr., his father, Eddie DeBartolo Sr., they bought the 49ers.
Yep.
Before that, he was a real estate developer. They developed shopping malls that are going to be filled this weekend on Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Shopping malls, they developed them, and then he bought the San Francisco 49ers. So if you're an advertiser, you're trying to get in front of a lot of people, I think these billionaires leave a clue, Glenn.
Yeah, you know, they know what they're doing, and they will not, and I say this, they will not step into anything with their big toe unless it's making them money, and sports makes money around the world.
And speaking of making money around the world, I know, Big C, you've covered sports for about 40 years as a national TV broadcaster, also national radio sportscaster, as an athlete, an all-pro, and coach. I know we've talked so much on the program about the NFL and the officiating. So many things are happening in the world of pro football. What are your thoughts on what's going on with the NFL and this great Thanksgiving coming up?
Well, guys, happy Thanksgiving holiday to everyone there.
Me too, brother.
You forgot about Paul Allen. Paul Allen owns the Seattle Seahawks as well as the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
And he's Bill Gates' partner.
Wow.
So
Wow.
he's part owner of Microsoft.
Are you saying these guys have money?
A little bit. A little bit.
Just a tad.
So
He
why would
has just a little bit of wad in his back pocket.
So
you
Big
know?
C, if I'm a car dealership or if I'm a business, why would I want to advertise where billionaires hang out?
Exactly.
I want to have the same success they do. But let's get back on those officials. I mean, it's a mistake-ridden league every week. And, I look at Roger Goodell, who is still on this witch hunt for Tom Brady.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
In the appeals courts.
Yes.
Why does he not go after officials? Why do they not make officials full-time? Players have to train all year long to keep their bodies honed and their skills precise. Why don't these officials, which hold everything in the balance through a bad call, a missed call. The Patriots game, you're blowing a whistle in the middle of a play on the sideline because you got a coach yelling at you.
Yes.
Cost the Patriots a touchdown, even though they struggled in the game, but that would have separated them from the Bills at that point. Roger Goodell needs to start looking more at the officials and holding them accountable, just like he does a player who fails a drug test.
And Roger Goodell makes, I believe, $44 million a year. $44 million. Now, he's not perfect. But as you did mention, Big C, he goes after a lot of players when they have a transgression. If they do anything wrong, they're always held accountable. But let me ask you this question, and this is something that a lot of people won't even talk about. Why are the owners of these professional football teams not putting more pressure on the same person that will penalize their own players? Is it because of money?
It's because of money. You got to look. Every owner in the NFL and every team in the NFL, the public needs to understand this, is a 501c3.
Yes.
They're non-profit organizations. Before any team has a kickoff at the beginning of the season, each owner pockets $450 million from television revenue in a deal that Roger Goodell negotiated when he was the lawyer for the NFL prior to becoming the commissioner. So they're not going to bite off the hand that feeds him, and they've given him autonomy to be the sheriff and the judge of the NFL, but he needs to judge the officials as much as he's judging the players with his scrutiny.
So it's kind of like a fraternity, if you will. I was in a fraternity when I went to OU, Boomer Sooner, and you know what? When you meet other guys that are in your same fraternity around the world, and I've met them, you guys all stick together, and they are in a fraternity, and they're going to back each other up, just like you said. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. You know what? There's a problem with that because there's just issues going on, and he is not attacking the problem at the core.
He is not. He is letting the league deteriorate. He keeps talking about the equity. I mean, the protecting the shield.
Yes.
Right.
He has to protect the shield. He needs to be number one in protecting the shield. It's like officials have gotten lazy now with this replay thing. It's like we'll just make a call and we'll go to the replay, and if we get it right, we'll get it right. If we get it wrong, we'll get it wrong. Aaron Rodgers has a commercial with an insurance company.
Yeah.
On the sideline, where you see officials bumbling, did anybody get the call? I didn't get it. We'll just act like this. And a fan yells out, "Mic's on," and that's true.
Yeah.
Other than us getting the mic on, it's true. They're bumbling it. They don't know what they're doing.
No.
Well, thinking about Goodell, and we've talked about him, and I know a lot of the network people, they won't say anything about it because they're all the good old boy network, but the NFL is a great product, but not too many people are going to talk honest about it. But talking back to football, we had the New England Patriots. They had a close game against Buffalo, and I know that they have a lot of injuries on the season, and it's again with Goodell again, but the Patriots 10-0, they look a little bit vulnerable. Or what are your thoughts on New England going forward, Big C? They're undefeated still.
It's that old adage, any given Sunday. But on every Sunday that the Patriots line up, they have two things that no other team in the NFL history has ever had. They have Tom Brady, and they have Bill Belichick. And when you have those two, and Bill Belichick's theory, next man up. You look at the plethora of players that he has lost this year. But every week, he finds a way with the next guy in. I mean, the third-string running back scores 2 touchdowns in the game. Lifts them to a victory. You're not going to get that from any other organization. There's pride in wearing the New England Patriots uniform, and that's the key. He can get anybody, and he showed that over the years. Every year he's won a championship, he's always had a different running back. He's had the same quarterback, but he's always had a different tailback in the backfield. Interchangeable receivers. They lost another receiver in the game on the other night, Sunday night. He'll have someone step up, and you won't know they lost a receiver.
It's a lot like Randy Moss, Glenn, when Randy Moss was there, and they actually went to the Super Bowl where they were defeated by the Giants. But Randy Moss didn't stick around.
No, he didn't.
There's something about Belichick that we'll talk about when we hit the NBA segment that owners can learn. You want to have guys who can play. And Big C, we know, talking about guys who can play, the Denver Broncos, Peyton Manning, I feel for Peyton, but we knew before the season began that he was banged up. And because their defense is so legit, they protected a lot of the issues that were wrong with them. So as we get into Denver, what are your thoughts on the Denver Broncos?
Well, a lot of Bay Area fans will remember in the late 80s there was a quarterback who played in San Francisco that wore number 16. and he finished his career in Kansas City.
Yeah.
But it only lasted 3 years once he got to Kansas City.
Yeah.
He recognized that the downside of his career was with him when he got to Kansas City. Your mind keeps telling you, because you recognize things, and Peyton Manning is so cerebral, it's more difficult for him than any other quarterback in history because he sees things, but his body can't respond to what he's seeing. Denver right now is in a better situation offensively with Brock Osweiler at quarterback. He has mobility. He can move. He has a bigger arm than Peyton Manning with that receiving core, and they picked up Vernon Davis also.
Yes.
So I like what they're doing right now. The only bad part is when Peyton gets healthy in 2 weeks, he'll be reinserted at quarterback, and it may not be the best thing for the Denver Broncos.
You know what? Stacy and I were talking about Osweiler before the show even started, and I know she's chomping at the bit right now to say something. But you know what, Stacy, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, I have to touch on this. You know, of course, everybody knows Peyton Manning didn't make the trip. He stayed home to get healthy. But, you know, I can't say I was disappointed. I cannot even say that I was even too impressed with Osweiler's performance. He threw for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which I really thought was amazing. The next thing I want to talk about with Osweiler, of course, like I said, he celebrated his 23rd birthday. They had a mixture of the running game. They actually had a mixture of the throwing game, the passing game as well. So, you know, I can't say he's going to carry them to the Super Bowl this year, but you know what? They need to regroup. They need to rebuild. They definitely look like a contender for the AFC Championships.
Right.
And so we're just going to look forward.
You know what?
And another thing, let me touch on something real quick, Glenn.
Go ahead.
What he allows for that offense is to put a quarterback under center. With Peyton Manning, 90% of the snaps are in the shotgun. But when you're under center, it allows your play action to be more effective. You're going to hold the linebackers closer to the line of scrimmage to allow those receivers to get into that second tier of the pass routes.
Right. So you know what? Just because, you know, Osweiler, you know what? A lot of people in the U.S., he's not a household name.
Right.
A lot of people may not even know who he is. But I'll tell you what, I was the third string on a football team. And you know what? I was happy to be there. But you know what? I was not a scrub. And I'm telling you what, Osweiler may not be a scrub either. I'm not saying he's going to do good. I'm not saying he's going to do bad. I'm just saying he's the underdog, and just watch out for this cat.
He's a fighter. He's definitely a
as
fighter.
long as they keep their defense intact.
You want to know what a third stringer can do?
What's up?
Look at Cordell Jones in Ohio State last year.
Yes.
There it is.
There you go.
That's a third string quarterback.
Yes.
And speaking of quarterbacks, we know we talked about it last week a little bit with Trent Dilfer and how he was blasting Cam Newton for his celebrations.
Yes.
But he works with a guy, Ray Lewis, that helped him win a Super Bowl, that celebrated all the time. One of the biggest celebrations that you'll see before a game was when Ray Lewis was playing. But they sit down next together, he and Steve Young, and Trent would never say anything to Ray Lewis.
Nothing.
So now we look at Cam Newton, and they're undefeated, Big C. They're playing this weekend. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones country, and they have the opportunity to keep their winning streak going, even though the Cowboys, Glenn, got a win at Miami last week.
Barely.
What are your thoughts, Big C, on Cam Newton and him getting another win and leading Carolina on again?
You know, I love what Cam Newton is doing. He has become a complete quarterback in the NFL. Trent Dilfer can blast Cam Newton all he wants. But there's a bit of envy about the play on the field. Yes, he has a Super Bowl ring with Baltimore, but as a quarterback and you pass for less than 150 yards in the Super Bowl, you didn't win the game when your defense outscored the other team's offense, and that was the Giants that they played at that time. So, and that was Kerry Collins at quarterback for the Giants, and Collins actually outplayed him. He just played against the greatest defense of that era.
Right.
Right now, Cam Newton is lights on fire, and his whole team is uplifted by his momentum that he goes on the field with.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing
and that's the key, Glenn. When you look at that, and you know that a quarterback is out there, and he has your back and everything, and he'll play as hard, if not harder than you. You got to play with him.
Oh my gosh, yeah, man. I mean, when you got a guy like that, I got your 6 in the military. That's what we said. I got your 6. You know what? Dallas is actually favored. Granted, it's only by 1 point in this game, but you know what? I called it earlier in the day. Carolina 35, Dallas. I'm gonna say 13.
Let me give you the difference maker in that game, okay?
Yes.
That will be James Hardy, the defensive end that they have that used to play in Carolina.
Yes.
He'll end up with 2 personal fouls that will cost Dallas a game.
Ooh.
If not at least 1 outside. He'll have at least 3 accumulative penalties, and that will cost Dallas a game because he's going to come back and try to punish the team that he came from. wasn't that Carolina's fault that he wanted to go out and beat up women.
That's all right. You know what? I got Carolina on my bet sheet anyway, so good. Go
I'm
ahead.
going with Carolina. And Big C, in the next minute before we go to the break, Tony Romo.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, he comes back, and Jerry Jones loved him. They did get a win down in Miami. What are your thoughts on his performance? Maybe it's a fluke. Maybe Miami's just that bad of a team. What are your thoughts on Romo before we go to the break?
We talked about Miami a few weeks ago with Dan Campbell, that the rah-rah for the first couple of games, that wore off. You got to come out and man up, play every week. Miami just doesn't have the manpower. But I don't know if Dallas is that good a team that they can beat even a mediocre team. I still like Carolina. Tony Romo played Miami. I mean, that's a team you want to play when you come back off an injury.
Well, we definitely love talking NFL football. My name is Charlton Curry with Glenn Spillman, Big C, and Stacy. And we'll talk more NFL football when we come back after the break. And Glenn, you did say that we are worldwide.
We are, brother.
You are worldwide with Epic Sports Radio on the Money 105.5.
Rescue Sports Water is the first water that has been fused with 50 milligrams of potassium, which can help prevent muscle cramping and more. And it still has that smooth taste. For more information, go to rescuesportswater.com.
Introducing a new generation of health and wellness, revolutionized and individualized. A company bold enough to ask why to the traditional way, who honors uniqueness of each individual and is committed to redefining the health and wellness industry through unmatched quality. Welcome to ID Life. Take your free ID Life assessment today. You're unique, so don't settle for cookie-cutter supplements. Join the ID Life movement today at pathtowellness.idlife.com. Contact Kim Cassetta, 916-996-1037. If you're a homeowner and you're struggling with your mortgage payments, if your bank is giving you the runaround and you can't get a loan modification and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA.
First, let's note that NFA has received a certification of registration from the California Attorney General's office and has a bond on file with the Secretary of State as required by law. NFA will inform homeowners of what their projected income and expenses and other info needs to be to have the best chance of receiving a loan mod. We will recommend qualifying income and expenses that will get them pre-qualified.
If your loan company is giving you the runaround and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA at 916-896-5757. That is 916-896-5757.
Rescue Sports Water is the first water that has been fused with 50 milligrams of potassium, which can help prevent muscle cramping and more. It still has that smooth taste. For more information, go to rescuesportswater.com.
At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041.
Money 105.5 with Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry. You're listening to Epic Sports Radio worldwide. Glenn, where do we have an audience, Glenn?
You know what? We've got an audience, France right now. Right now as we speak, in France, Canada, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain. We've got people in the United States, all over the United States and the UK. So officially, we are worldwide, brother.
Worldwide. And I want to say to all of you listeners out there, we still want to offer our condolences. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of the Paris terrorist attacks.
Yes.
This is the holiday coming up. I hope that everyone can enjoy it. And remember that freedom comes with a price. And as we get back into the NFL, Big C, we know that Philadelphia is playing Detroit. And Chip Kelly's in a little bit of trouble, but hopefully, if for his sake, they can win that game. But the game we really want to touch on, I know they're covering it with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck with the Fox program. They're going to cover the big Green Bay Chicago Bears game. They played 192 times, and they lead the series 93-92 with 6 ties. But I know they're going to retire Brett Favre's jersey. But I know, Stacy, you had a thought about the Chicago Bears in this game.
Oh, she's got more than a thought, but go ahead, Stacy.
I know, I like this one. You know, 7-3 Green Bay going up against the Chicago 4-6. And it was interesting, you know, I'm watching the game and Fox, 4th and 1.
Yeah.
What do? You go for it.
Exactly.
And what did it do? It came back and bit him in the fox,
Exactly.
so to
There
speak.
you go.
And you also saw an aggravated, you saw aggravated Jay Cutler, you know, frustrated. He's not the same quarterback that we've seen in the past. It
No,
seems
he's
like
not.
he's losing it. He's losing control. So where do we stand with Chicago?
You know what? They're in Green Bay. Chicago's going into Green Bay. Green Bay is -7. But you know what? Cutler, as I said earlier, he should put on a tutu. Because you know what? He needs to check his attitude and everything at the door. You know
Check
what?
it at the door.
If you want us to talk about you, make a play.
Make
It's
a
like
play.
Cam Newton. You don't want
Yeah.
me to celebrate in the end zone?
Make a
Stop
play.
me. You know what, Cutler? Put up or shut up.
There it is.
Well, speaking of Cutler putting up Big C as we bring you in, we know that Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Bart Starr have all won the Lombardi Trophy for the Green Bay Packers. Here's something that's a little bit unnerving for some people because everyone wants to wear a facade and pretend that people love each other. Brett Favre was replaced by Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
That's like introducing your wife to your new girlfriend.
Hi, honey.
And they're going to retire his jersey at the stadium. Now, for Fox purposes, they have to put on a show that everyone likes each other.
Yep.
But if you're Brett Favre and you took them to a Super Bowl, actually 2 Super Bowls, and they won against New England, but they also lost against Denver, what are your thoughts as a former athlete? How does Brett Favre feel going into the house where the new boyfriend is there or the new quarterback is there? What are your thoughts on that?
He's going to be happy and jubilant about getting his number retired.
Yes.
But beyond that, there's no love lost with Brett
None.
Favre in Green Bay.
None.
I mean, he tried to get out of Green Bay with an amicable situation.
Yes.
They didn't allow that to occur.
Nope.
And Aaron Rodgers, there was never a great relationship. Brett knew when Aaron was drafted in the first round, he was drafted to become the heir apparent to his position.
Yep.
And the minute they had an opportunity with Brett with an injury and Brett never wanted to come to training camp, they shipped him out.
Yeah.
And this is really his first trip back to Lambeau. He has not been back since in New York. I mean, they held the New York Jets ransom
Yes.
to get him as a free agent. So right there, that's when all the favor was lost for Green Bay because they didn't want him to play for anyone else.
Well, do you think it's kind of like a Yogi Berra New York Yankee thing where Brett Favre, unless there is some kind of reconciliation there, Yogi Berra was never going to talk to George Steinbrenner again. George
He
Steinbrenner.
never went in there, Glenn. That's a great point.
Exactly. So what do you think? Do you think this is all a facade?
It's all a facade. It's
All right.
all a facade. I mean, as you said, the late Yogi Berra never dealt with George Steinbrenner when he was fired as being the manager of the New York Yankees.
Yep.
And Brett Favre, this is his first trip back to Lambeau. It's only for his family
Yes.
Okay.
that he's going back to take this retirement. His wife talked him into that.
All right.
But if it was left up to Brett alone, he wouldn't have gone back. He'd just say, hey, if you're going to hang it, I'm done with you.
And see, I kind of feel for Brett Favre because he'll never say this on the air. But it goes back to the relationship. Do you introduce your new boyfriend to your old boyfriend? It's at least wait until Aaron Rodgers steps aside because it's less injury to Brett.
There's going to be less animosity,
Yes.
less mental duress in this situation. Brett's number could have gone up 10 years from now,
Yes,
and he would
exactly.
have gotten the same accolades from the
Yep.
fans and even probably more appreciation because he had been gone so long. You don't bring this back still at the height of Aaron Rodgers' career, the guy who replaced him,
Yes.
saying, hey, now we recognize you. I mean, Rod Woodson's number was just retired in Dallas 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
The guy who replaced Rod Woodson is no longer in Dallas. So it's a different situation.
And one more thing, too. Now, we talked about Brett Favre and how it's kind of an affront to him, even though TV's going to play it like, hey, these guys really like each other. That's like saying your new boyfriend likes your old boyfriend. It's not true. But if you're Aaron Rodgers and they've built this organization around you with your discount double check, Glenn,
Yep.
what does that say to Aaron Rodgers when you bring in the person he replaced and everyone knows they have animosity? And they're going to have him clap and cheer as if the ex-boyfriends are going to clap for the new boyfriend. What do you think of that?
Well, Aaron Rodgers is not going to have anything to do with the ceremony. The team will be in the tunnel during halftime dealing with what they're going to deal with Coach McCarthy, getting their adjustments all set. He's not going to be out as part of the ceremony. But it's going to be a little spur in the back of his heel also. He's thinking about it. They're celebrating this guy, and here it is. I'm trying to win a game for him.
Well, when you think about Dixie, all over the NFL, players, they're meant to go on. There's always a new one. There's always a new person. There's a new flavor. There's a new boyfriend. There's a new husband. There's always someone new, always looking over your shoulder to take your job. Joe Montana went through the same thing. one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But when Joe Montana, as you touched upon earlier, Big C, he was still able to play for the 49ers. But the organization brought in Steve Young to be groomed by Joe Montana, Glenn.
Yeah.
And when Joe Montana was not given the chance to earn his job, he was shipped out. And all Joe said was he wanted to compete for a job. Steve Young came in, and granted, he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl, but he had a lot of pressure because everyone was still in love with Joe. Same thing happened.
You got to remember, Joe got hurt in that NFC Championship game against the Giants.
Yep.
Marshall hit him from the back and cracked his shoulder and everything. And Joe never got a chance to really compete for the start. That was easy for the 49ers to say, hey, he was injured. We're going to ship him out of here and plug in Steve Young. That wasn't the same scenario with Brett Favre. He wasn't injured when Green Bay got rid of him.
Well,
he just didn't want to come to training camp. He was tired. As a veteran, once you get so many years of tenure, what can you learn in training camp other than trying not to get hurt?
Well, a lot of great players go through that, and then Terrell Owens replacing Jerry Rice as a go-to guy, same type of situation with that. So, Big C, we appreciate that very much. And as we also know, Glenn, as we're going into college football, I want to finish up your thoughts on the game with Favre and also Rodgers with Green Bay. What are your thoughts, Glenn?
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this, man. You know what? It's a Hollywood thing. You got to put it on your face. You know what? It doesn't matter what happens through that door. When you come through that door, it doesn't matter if you're mad at each other or not. Put it on a face. Everyone's happy. Everyone's shaking hands. To me, it's a bunch of crap. But you know what? I think they should just kind of step back, let Rodgers do his thing. You know what? If you want to retire, Favre's jersey, do it after the season.
Do it after the fact. Stacey, your thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, Favre spent many years with Green Bay. I think he's well respected. It's time for Aaron Rodgers to move on with the team. I don't think there should be any animosity. He should not be disgruntled. I think he should take his medicine and move on.
Thank you.
And speaking of moving on, Big C, what we're going to do now is something that everyone loves at ESPN, Game Day. You have Kirk Herbstreit.
Yep.
And we know that college football is like musical chairs. I don't know how many people thought that Ohio State would lose at home in the Horseshoe versus Michigan State. And there was a little bit of conflict after that, as we talk about college football, where Ezekiel Elliott, Big C, he kind of chastised Urban Meyer a little bit by not giving him the ball enough, a lot like what Eric Dickerson used to say, give me the ball. But later, Urban Meyer actually agreed with him. You don't give a running back that averaged over 200 yards a game in last year's playoffs just for actually 12 carries against a Michigan State team. What are your thoughts on his reaction to his coach, Big C?
I think that was a key component of the game with Ohio State losing. As we talked about Ezekiel Elliott going into last week, he was third or fourth in the country in rushing.
Yes.
And when you have a horse like that, especially in inclement weather, you know that the running game will carry you when you have a wet surface. This guy is a true workhorse, and when he can't touch the ball, that's going to slow down your offense. When you got quarterbacks out there trying to force throws in the rain, that's not to your advantage offensively. I have to side with Elliott in this. I mean, as a senior, he's going to come out and say that because there's no backlash. He's not worried about losing a scholarship or anything like that. But Urban Meyer admitted, I made the mistake as a coach. I cost my team an opportunity to play for a second championship.
And then, Glenn, you had a question with that?
Well, you know what? There's a big controversy right now. I don't care what you're talking about on the internet, whatever. LSU, they got a problem with Les Miles.
Yeah.
You know what? And then with this coaching change possible, and they bring it up. But you know what? Les Miles is not the guy going out there throwing the interception.
Yes.
He's not the guy out there fumbling the ball. But you know what? But they're still talking about replacing the guy. And you know what? There's a guy in Philadelphia right now that's amongst this conversation that used to be in the state of Oregon, Chip Kelly, that might be going to LSU, and they're talking about it. You know what? They say, well, you know what? We don't want to talk about that right now.
Right.
I'm just concentrating on the season. You know what? Shut up about that. Don't even bring it up. You know what? Keep Les Miles there. Les Miles is a cool guy. He's a cool dude, coaching a football team. Again, it's not him out there making the mistakes. They just need to keep the guy, let him go another year, and just chill out.
Well, Big C, we'll get your thoughts on that. They've lost 3 in a row under Les Miles. They're playing Texas A&M this weekend. Might be their 4th loss. But he's also had 17 players get drafted into the NFL.
Yeah.
But if you don't win, then people want to get rid of you fast. And I would like to see Les Miles stay there. The Michigan job is not open. What are your thoughts? You cover the SEC. What are your thoughts on Les Miles and the LSU situation?
I don't think the Mad Hatter's going anyplace. They also talking about Mark Richt at Georgia. I mean, you got two coaches that consistently put up 9, 10, 11 wins a year.
Right.
You're not going to replace people like that. You know, you got to be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Because when you look out there in the coaching ranks, who is there? I mean, everyone's throwing Chip Kelly's name up against the wall like spaghetti. The only place Chip Kelly is going to leave the
is it sticking?
NFL for.
Wait a minute. Did you just say spaghetti in the South? I thought that was chicken
what?
and barbecue
But
country.
is it sticking?
Forget about it.
Throwing up like barbecue sauce.
There you go.
Isn't
All
the
right.
only thing bigger in the South than church is football?
There
And I
you
don't
go.
see them eating spaghetti
No.
at a football game,
Oh, my
Big C.
goodness.
Well, Chip Kelly, if he goes anywhere, SC, he'll be on the West Coast. He's not going anyplace else. He doesn't have the style that's conducive to playing in the SEC.
No.
Les Miles, the Mad Hatter's not going anywhere. I don't
Good.
believe that Mark Richt is leaving Georgia. You just have to look. These guys knock each other off every week. There's nobody in the SEC that's undefeated.
Right.
Even Alabama has a loss,
Yes.
and they're ranked top
Yes.
in the SEC. So
Right.
when you play in that conference, you're going to have a loss hanging on your shingle each year.
And also one more thing for Chip Kelly, when he was at the University of Oregon and they were winning the Pac-10 and the Pac-12, more than half of his players came from California,
Yes.
primarily Los Angeles. So going back into the Pac-12, he's in an area where people are familiar with his coaching style, and when he goes into a high school to recruit, they already know a lot about what he's doing, Big C.
He's a speed merchant. He will find speedy players. I mean, his number one recruits came from Southern California. His second tier came out of Texas. He takes players, and half the players he takes, no one wants. They just have the speed. They may not have the size. But I don't see him lasting in Philadelphia. You know, when he lost Bradford, who was a so-so quarterback, and he
Yes.
tried to plug in Sanchez,
Yes.
Yep.
who was really lost at quarterback. When you look at quarterbacks, Colin Kaepernick may end up in Philadelphia next year, but I think Chip
Ooh.
Kelly may end up in Los Angeles with a pro football team there. USC.
They are a pro football team. One more thing I want to retract onto Colin Kaepernick. There's so much talk in the news about Colin Kaepernick's not the right guy. Colin Kaepernick can't throw a football. Glenn, didn't Colin Kaepernick go into Lambeau Field and beat Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs?
Yeah, he did.
Didn't Colin Kaepernick go into the New England Patriots in a cold game and beat Tom Brady?
He did.
Didn't Colin Kaepernick go into Carolina and defeat the Carolina Panthers with Cam
did.
Newton?
Oh, he did.
Didn't the same person that can't throw the football
Yes.
take the 49ers to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Didn't the same person the next season take the 49ers to the NFC Championship game against Seattle?
Amen, brother.
So for all the people that want to say that is Kaepernick, there's one thing that's missing out of San Francisco, outside of leadership, is Harbaugh. The people that are there now, they want Gabbert to be the man, but they have to look at the history. They're trying to cover for something. I appreciate Kaepernick for wanting to leave because he'll have a better career when he goes to a coach that understands his style, Big C.
Well, Colin Kaepernick, you missed on one point in that Super Bowl. If not for an errant call by the officials,
Yes.
49ers would have won that game. That was a pass
Yes.
interference in the back of the
Yes.
end zone. So the officials have been blowing calls for a long time. Colin Kaepernick, there's nothing wrong with Colin Kaepernick at quarterback. The problem is Jim Tomsula, the head coach of the 49ers. Right now, what ownership and management is doing in San Francisco, which is an atrocity,
Yes.
they're trying to strip anything that had anything to do with Jim Harbaugh's success. They want to say, hey, it wasn't him, that we can get rid of all his keynote players and replace them because we're knowledgeable. We're going to be the Jerry Jones of the West. We know what we're doing about picking players. Colin Kaepernick, for 2 years, was one of the top 7 quarterbacks in the NFL under Jim Harbaugh. Once Jim left and his system left, and people forget, there's 13 replacement starters in San Francisco when Jim Harbaugh left. It was a shell of a team.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And then
Yes.
when you put a ghost of a coach in there who really doesn't understand, he was a defensive line coach.
Yes.
As a defensive line coach, your first job is being an offensive coordinator and head coach. It was a joke from the start of the season in San Francisco.
I
Yes,
agree
it
very
was.
much. And then, Stacey, you also have a comment to make in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, actually, I want to just touch on the fact again, Kaepernick did not make the trip. But I think one thing that is important, it is the organization. It's also the system. They want quarterback Kaepernick to stand in the pocket. He's not a pocket passer.
No,
he's
he's
a
not.
scrambler. He's
Yes,
a
he
mover.
is.
Move him to a system where he fits in.
And people don't like that.
Let's move him around.
Exactly.
What are we going to do?
If it works, it works.
It works. But it's not working.
And I think over time, we'll see who made the right decision with that. And also, Big C, we love talking about all the things we talk about with football. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back at the bottom of the hour.
Yes.
We have MMA. Glenn, we were just at the fights over the weekend.
Yes, we were, brother.
I don't understand how such beautiful women can punch each other the way they do, but we have one here in the studio.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't punch me. Yeah, amen, brother.
So we're on your side,
Get out of the
Tiffany.
way.
All right.
You'll hear more from Tiffany when we come back at the break on Epic Sports Radio worldwide on Money 105.5.
Every 67 seconds, someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's. And today, more than 5 million Americans are living with the disease. Have you thought about who would provide that care for you or a family member and how to pay for it? The cost can run $80 to $90, $100,000 annually or more. But there's an even greater expense. In 2013, 15.5 million family and friends provided 17.5 billion hours of unpaid care to those with Alzheimer's and other dementias. Due to the physical and emotional burden, caregivers had $9.3 billion in additional health care costs of their own. All told, 60 to 70% of us will need some form of long-term care, and Medicare likely won't pay. Contact my good friend Lynn Rowe, CFP, today and receive her free booklet and information on long-term health care. Call 877-270-3127. That's 877-270-3127, or go online at iwantmyltc.net, iwantmyltc.net.
Food giant Nestle says an internal investigation has revealed that media reports suggesting some of its seafood sourced from Thailand was produced using slave labor turns out to be true. The company said it has issued an action plan to eliminate human rights abuses within its production system. The toy industry is pushing back against consumer groups like U.S. PIRG, which has just published a list of what it says are dangerous toys. The Toy Industry Association says American toys are safe and accuses consumer groups of using scare tactics to generate publicity and donations. If you're shopping during the long promotion-filled weekend, you should find some great buys on HD TV sets. BestBlackFriday.com says leaked ads reveal record low prices for select models and sizes of big-screen sets, as well as video game bundles. I'm Mark Huffman. Learn more at ConsumerAffairs.com.
Hi, Lenny Sansone here with I-24 Fit Club. I want to invite you to join us for afternoon recess on Friday afternoons at 4 p.m. We have tons of fun talking about health and fitness and even some unique places to visit in the Sacramento area, all during your evening commute. Area experts, including our own personal Mythbuster, Dr. Sean Patterson, will play some interactive games and a comedy minute that will be sure to give you a laugh. Join us on Friday afternoons at 4 at Money 105.5.
It's the hugest Black Friday sale ever at SacHalfOff.com.
It's huge, Jody. It's huge.
You can't believe it. I actually can say huge.
Hey, how about this? 5 top-of-the-line premium quick quack car washes for $25.50.
So are they good at any location?
Yes, they are good at every location.
All right, this is like the premium.
This is their top-of-the-line one.
Oh, and there's lots of beautiful jewelry with free shipping. You don't even have to be buying a Christmas gift. You can just go there and get yourself lots of beautiful jewelry.
At SacHalfOff.com.
SacHalfOff.com.
SacHalfOff.com?
Yeah.
That's right.
Money 105.5. This is Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5 and Money105.5.com.
Welcome back to the show. I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving weekend. Eat lots of turkey and lots of ham. And I like collard greens, so I don't know about you guys, but that's my flavor.
I could dig it.
And speaking of flavor, Glenn, we'll throw it back to you.
You know what? Hey, you know what? There's a special thing going on this holiday season, and it's with the Biz Network. You know, did you achieve your business or personal goals in 2015? Would you like to launch into 2016 like you have rocket boosters attached? Unless you do something radically different, you will not receive the radically different results. You know what? Biz is doing a extravaganza. You know what? It's at Blacktop Comedy Club in Rockland, and you can go to evolvebiz.eventbrite.com. You can support an awesome organization and an awesome cause. If you'd like more information, you can call 916-936-3323. And you know what? We've got a special guest in studio right now, Tiffany Konema. I've asked her 100 times about her last name, man, and it is Konema. And you know what?
Don't ask her too many times. You know she's a fighter now.
She is. She is. You know, she'll put me in an armbar, man. I'm not even kidding. She's 19 years old, phenom from Vacaville. She now lives in Sacramento. She made her MMA debut in May of this year. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's May of this year. She won her first fight, unanimous decision. She also won her second fight. She is 2-0. She's 5'3", but I tell you, man, she is bigger than 5'3" in personality and everything else. She's really cool. I've got to talk to her for the past, hour and a half, behind the scenes, and she is awesome. She fights in the Starweight division. Her affiliation is the Prado Academy. You know what, Tiffany? We've talked, earlier, and I've got your bio. I know all about you, but the folks out there listening, they don't know too much. Just kind of give us your voice right now and tell us about who you are and tell people who you are and what you're about.
Well, like you said, I'm 19. I graduated in 2014, and I started jiu-jitsu at Fabio Prado's 2 years ago.
Okay.
And
you know what? You are a firecracker, and I know you're a little nervous right now, but that is okay. But you know what? When you step in the octagon, you're not nervous. You put that face mask down. You've got, you got the eye of the tiger. So tell me, when you step in the octagon, do you change into a different person?
Oh, absolutely. If you haven't done it, there's no way to describe it,
Okay.
You're nervous.
Yes.
You walk to the cage. You're shaking.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what's going on. You're thinking about 1,000 different things. And as soon as you walk into that cage and you hear the doors click, it's like a switch. That's
right.
the best way to describe it.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, Layla Ali, as a boxer, people thought, well, she's too pretty to fight because pretty things should be protected, right? Now, boxing and MMA, you still have to go after your opponent.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare yourself to get into a physical situation, knowing that you've been trained for it? What are your thoughts, and what would you say to people who want to get into MMA to prepare for it mentally?
Oh, train. That's the biggest thing. You need to go in there and, it's not just a sport. It's a lifestyle. You have to be eating right, training. Yeah. When I'm training for a fight, I train 3 times a day.
Yes.
In the morning and twice at night. It's everything.
Right. We were talking earlier, and you were in school. You were going to school for criminal justice, and you told me, you know what, I kind of put that on the side right now, and I'm concentrating on MMA. And that's what you want to do right now. You're 19. You've got several years ahead of you. How many more years do you think? And I know it's a process, and you got to build. How many more years do you have, that you want to do the MMA?
At least 10 years. Eventually, maybe when I'm 35, I want to start a family. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about that right now. I just want to train. I want to fight, and I want to make it to the top.
Okay, and we were talking about, I asked you earlier, who do you look up in the MMA world? And you mentioned Paige. So tell me about that.
Paige, I've trained with her a few times in Ultimate Fitness, and she is amazing. She's young and beautiful and extremely talented. She started, I don't know when she started MMA, but she made her pro debut when she was 19.
Right.
And now she's the youngest female fighter in the UFC.
Okay, and I asked you if you wanted to be on The Ultimate Fighter. I've watched men's and I've watched women's. It is full of drama. It's like watching a soap opera.
Yes.
Do you want to be on the show? And if not, why?
I don't. I still have a few years before I even think about that. You have to be 21.
Okay.
But I am not interested. I don't feel like, in my opinion, it helps you grow as a fighter.
Okay.
It's just too much drama for me.
So do you think it's just kind of something to build the ratings a little bit? And it
absolutely.
might raise you up as a fighter, give you a little bit of notoriety.
Yeah, it gives your name out there.
It's kind of drama. All right, so tell me about, what are your thoughts on women in the MMA? In the beginning it was kind of taboo a little bit, but with Ronda Rousey and now Holmes stepping into the gate, what are your thoughts? And now you're in here and you want to make a storm.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on women in MMA?
It's great, but I'm not shocked. Women can do what men can do.
Exactly.
A little bit better.
We can.
But
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The female fights are way more entertaining than the men's.
They are. You know what? And
no one disagrees with that.
I've seen your fight. I saw you jack up the chick in your first fight. When you punched her in the face, it was like lights out. But you won that fight by decision. Let's talk about the Holly Holm Rousey fight. Rousey did lose the fight.
Yeah.
And I said to you earlier, she didn't just lose, she lost.
She got knocked out.
Yes. What do you think Holmes going to bring to the fight? And if they have a rematch with Rousey, do you think Holmes going to take it? If so, why?
Oh, Holmes has already talked about a rematch, and she feels like it's going to prove that she is the champion, you know? I fought the best, I beat the best, and now nobody, you know, it could have been a fluke, but after that win, there's no it was a fluke, and I'll prove to you again that it wasn't.
Okay, you know what? Tell me, and we're going to back up a little bit. When you first got into MMA, why? What made you look at that sport? You're going to get punched in the face. You're going to punch people in the face. It is a physical sport. Why do you want to do it?
It's raw. I mean, you know, it's human nature. It's natural. You go in there and you're in that cage by yourself. You train with your team, but when you're in there, it's all you. Nobody can help you in that situation. And, you know, it feels real.
Okay.
Like, nothing compares to it at all.
All right. I have a 14-year-old daughter. She's laying on the couch right now. Her name is Paris. And she's been begging me, Dad, I want to be in MMA. I want to be in MMA. And I want to get her in for the right reasons. I want her to be able to, you know, kind of a lifestyle, defend yourself. And with the 14-year-olds out there and all the other people, you know, what advice do you have to both parents and the young kids who want to get in the sport? What advice do you have for them?
Kids, start young.
Yes.
And train. Hard work pays off. No matter what, hard work pays off. And it's all worth it. That's what I keep telling myself. It's all worth it. And for the parents, I know from my parents' experience, it is hard to watch your kids or your family members walk in there.
Right.
You know, you're scared. But if they're in that cage because they know they can win, they believe in themselves. And this sport is extremely hard mentally, physically. So you need to support your kids.
All right, last 30 seconds. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you bring it up if you want. What's coming up next for you? I smell something in March, but I'll just let you talk about it.
Well, there's a few things. I've heard a few fights coming up. February 13th. I thought about it. I might take that one. And then I was called for GKO 6, which is Global Knockout.
Global Knockout, yeah.
Which is March 26th. Yeah. I am extremely interested in fighting for them. And so
we'll give
hopefully
a shout out to Jose
on the
Cortez.
calendar.
Hey, brother. Yeah, all right. You know what? We're going to follow your fighting. And we're going to find out. You know what? Tell us about your sponsors and tell us about who you want to shout out to right now.
Yeah, shout out to 5150. Riley Prescott. Yeah. They have saved my butt.
All right.
They are awesome. And then also Lana's Egg Whites and GFY hooking it up with some awesome gear.
Okay.
And
yeah, you know what? And I also want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this show and this segment, Buns Sports Pub and Grub. They're at 311 Judah Street in Roseville, California. More information, 916-786-6655. And I'll tell you what, man. You guys like wings?
Oh, I love
you
wings.
go there. They're having a wing special tonight. I'm not even going to tell you what the wing special is, but it's phenomenal. You go there. You check it out. You tell them you heard about it on Epic Sports Radio. They're going to give you $2 off of domestic drafts, house, well wines, and you know what? They're going to hook you up. Check it out. Bun Sports Pub and Grub. Thank you, Tiffany Conema.
We'll be back with more after the break on Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5. Get life insurance in 3 easy steps. California license number 0180132. Number 1, no physical. Number 2, no blood test. Number 3, no medical exam. Qualify for $5,000 or more in final expense. Affordable rates. We cover the VA and seniors. Ask a senior life agent to contact you about retirement, annuities, and a life insurance policy. Call 916-896-5757. Protect the people you love. Call 916-896-5757. At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041.
This is Sacramento's Money 105.5, the premier show for all your sports needs. Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry, and this program is brought to you partially by Trilok Investments Corporation, providing commercial and residential projects, allocation, and private funding to up to $500 million since 2008. For more information, contact Charlton Curry at 916-896-5757. 5757. In the next few minutes, Glenn, we're going to talk
Yes,
NBA basketball.
NBA, baby.
The Golden State Warriors.
Oh, my
Steph
Lord.
Curry.
Yes.
I think he's going to go down as one of the best Currys ever.
Exactly. Besides yourself.
Okay, that's a little
There
bit
you
myself.
go.
Yes.
But I think as an NBA basketball player,
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with his talent. Big C, what are your thoughts on Steph Curry in about the next minute?
I'm impressed beyond his talents. I mean, we've all heard about King James being the greatest basketball player in the world.
King who?
Steph Curry is the greatest team player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Team player.
Everything he
yes.
does is about our team, us. It's not about like LeBron, my team, my players. No, team player. That's Steph Curry. He personifies what the NBA should be.
Yes.
And also, when you think about Curry, and I want to also, my heart goes out to Kobe Bryant because I was a Kobe fan growing up. I loved watching him because he was excellent. But Kobe right now is a product of his own creation. His teammates don't know what to do because he doesn't pass the ball. And I talked to my son about that. He doesn't pass the ball. And Glenn,
It's all about him, man.
1 of 14 last night in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I mean, they scored 11 points in the first quarter. As I said to you earlier, Grant High School against the Warriors could have scored 11 points.
Well, I think the Lakers are going to schedule Grant in the next. But we have about 2 minutes left, Big C. And I do want to touch on this, too, because the Golden State Warriors, they're the top team in the league right now. But it's not just because they're a good basketball team. They have good character. Contrast that with Sacramento, the Sacramento Kings, DeMarcus Cousins. He's injured tonight in Milwaukee. Here's a guy that chastises his own coach, Coach Carl. I believe Coach Carl has been in the playoff 22 years, correct, Glenn?
Yeah.
So if you're an owner of a franchise and you want to bring players in, would you want to play with a team that has the attitude of Steph Curry? The Golden State Warriors got rid of Monte Ellis because he did not get along.
Yep.
He did not have a team concept, so they shipped him off. But with Sacramento, the Kings, they're not doing that with DeMarcus Cousins.
They need to.
So congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. And as we wrap up the show, I want to make sure that everyone understands that this is Thanksgiving. Spend time with people that you love.
Yes.
Spend time enjoying food, good food, and all those great things that we do in the holidays. And you can hear more about Epic News Sports, Glenn.
Yep. Yeah, and follow us on all social media, Epic News Sports. Also go to epicnewsports.com. We've got a button there to where you could buy supplies for the homeless. We're trying to reach out to the homeless this holiday season.
Yes, definitely.
We want to bless them with your blessing. Also, with our film that we're doing next year, we are asking for $100 million.
$100 million.
Exactly. And there's people out there that could do that. So get in touch
Not only
with us.
do we need that, but we deserve that.
So you'll get more of what we have with all the sports next week on Money 105.5.